It
Yeah.
is a lot. So we did a podcast every week until 2025. And then in 2025, we decided that we wanted to start working on a book. So we reduced the number of podcasts because both Stephanie and I also have other jobs. And
Yeah.
so we reduced the number of podcasts and we kept the same amount of time that we're working together. It's just that every other week we work on our book and every other week we work on our podcast. So we're at 183 episodes now.
In today's episode of my podcast story, we have Maren Oslac, an executive awareness coach for high achieving soulful leaders and co-host of the Soulful Leader podcast. Maren's podcast is renowned for guiding leaders away from the relentless hustle culture and towards a more meaningful, connected existence. With a rich background as a champion dancer and successful entrepreneur, Maren's journey is a testament to the power of self-awareness and flow. After years of striving for an elusive sense of enough, she discovered a transformative path that blends deep listening with purposeful action. Today, she's here to share her inspiring journey on how she built her show from the ground up, helping others find their flow and amplify their impact in the world. Tell me your name and the name of your podcast and what your podcast is about.
Sure. My name is Maren Oslac, and my podcast is the Soulful Leader podcast. And we are all about doing leadership differently than it's been done and thinking about things changing life from the inside out. So traditional leadership is, kind of been check all the outer boxes. And we oftentimes don't pay attention to the internal. So we get overwhelmed and we get stuck. And so we created a podcast we think of leadership as a title instead of a way of being.
Oh,
And for us, leadership is a way of being and not just a
okay.
title.
Okay. So I was going to ask you what's the traditional like, and it seems that you've answered it even before I asked it. So the traditional is like, oh, it's a title. Oh, I am this, I am that, and what you guys the approach the podcast is taking is uh a way of being. Now I noticed you kept using the word we think. Can you explain what do you mean when you say
I have a partner with the podcast. Her name is Stephanie. And yeah, so that's the we. So we kind of like you and I are doing this conversation. It's a conversational podcast. We interview people, I would say, maybe every other month or so. And most of it is just it's the two of us talking about different aspects of leadership and what that means for us as human beings. If we live our life from a place of coming from, like, if you look at it this way, if somebody looks up to you, you're a leader.
hmm,
And if we think of ourselves like that, then we hold ourselves differently. We act differently. We're more responsible. And when I say responsible, I actually mean able to respond.
wow.
Ah.
Hey, wonderful.
So those are the
Wow.
types of things we talk about on our podcast.
How long has this podcast been in existence?
We started in 2021, so
Ooh,
4
okay, okay,
years.
4 years. So when is the anniversary?
June.
Rice and cake. Wow,
Mhm.
cake. When in June? So that's I know when to ask for my anniversary. Rice.
Yeah, throw a party.
When exactly in June? Because I don't want to. I would remind you in June, and you're like, oh, you forgot. It's just last week. You should have messaged me, and I'm like, but we're still in June. Oh, it's past already.
I believe that we started the first week of June. Let me look that up. I have all that information. So
Okay,
we kicked off our podcast on Tuesday, June 8th,
okay, June
2021.
8th. Let me note it down. June 8th. Okay, okay, that's
And
next month. Wow,
we
congratulations,
did
4 years.
Thank
That's a
you.
lot. Yeah.
It is a lot. So we did a podcast every week until 2025. And then in 2025, we decided that we wanted to start working on a book. So we reduced the number of podcasts because both Stephanie and I also have other jobs. And so we reduced the number of podcasts, and we kept the same amount of time that we're working together. It's just that every other week we work on our book and every other week we work on our podcast. So we're at 183 episodes now.
Wow. Is the podcast video and audio or just audio?
Both.
Okay. So you've been active, the podcast has been active on YouTube from day one.
It
Okay.
has not been active on YouTube from day one. We started posting some stuff fairly early on and then stopped. And then YouTube did something with their podcasts. And so then we started up again. So most of our episodes are up there and not all of them.
Wait. What happened?
Well, the majority of our people listen to us on podcasting platforms.
Yeah.
And they listen to us. And we were not getting any followers or doing it. We weren't doing anything with the YouTube. So it was just an extra step, one more thing to put on our plate, right? And I think for most people, like we need to make decisions. What is the best use of our time? So we were looking at that. What is the best use of our time? And at the time, in 2021, 2022, people weren't going to YouTube for podcasts,
Yeah.
right? And so then when they actually changed their platform and made it podcast friendly, then people started doing that. And I was like, okay, well, let's look back into that. And so just recently, we had started posting there and not doing anything with it. And we're getting like a couple of followers each week. Sometimes a couple of followers every month. I mean, like no one really was finding us. And then just last month, I decided to put some effort into that and we started to grow our following there.
Okay. Now, I want us to do something fun.
Okay.
I want us to look at the YouTube channel and just see it. So you can pull up the screen. You can share screen with me on Riverside. You should see the option on your end. Yeah, so we see how it looks like. I'm guessing that when you say video, because usually some persons they can't audiograms on video as video podcast. I hope you know that's not what I'm talking about.
I don't. You're gonna have to explain that to me.
Okay. There are like you have a static image, and then you have audio just playing in the video, nothing moving, no face.
No, you see our little talking heads the whole time.
Ooh, I might have to call that out. I don't know. So to avoid copyright issues.
We actually had somebody compose that directly for us. So
that's yeah. Okay.
That's
okay,
ours.
I should be good. Okay.
All right.
Okay, I should
so
be good.
let me share my screen. Share.
That's true. I was thinking of composing one for my own podcast. How did you guys? Can you tell me a bit about that? How you got the song?
Yeah. So the guy that actually helps us with our podcast editing he's got a music background, and that's one of the things that he, people are multi-talented, right? That's one of the things that he loves and that he's done. And so we had asked him to help us with that, and he created this lovely music for us. So I'll hit play. There's about a 30-second intro, okay?
In a world where we have everything and it's still not enough, we're often left wondering, is this really it?
That's your co-host, right?
Inside, you know there's more to life. You're ready to leave behind the old push your way through and claim the deeper, more meaningful life that's calling you. That's what we invite you to explore with us. We're your hosts, Stephanie Allen and Maren Oslac. And this is the Soulful Leader Podcast.
Wow.
Hey, Hi, welcome to the Soulful Leader Podcast. Here with Maren.
Why is the screen not moving? I'm not seeing anything.
I
was expected to see.
Hold
okay,
on.
maybe you have to skip.
Maybe I do.
Skip.
Huh.
I don't know what's going on. What's happening?
I don't know. Let's find
Or
out.
do we have to check another video? Maybe we should check something. Because this is the kind of static video I was talking about. That.
Oh, there we are.
Okay.
We'll adjust them one at a time. So I'll tell you.
Okay. So that's your co-host is on the left.
So when you say the host, we're both the
your
hosts.
co-host. No, your co-host. That's what I said. Yeah, he's on the left, right? Okay, that's Stephanie. Wow, my regards to her. Tell her I said
I will tell her
Yeah.
that you said hi.
Wow.
Exactly.
When your
And
presence
then
becomes a prison. Oh, is it prison?
when
Wow.
your persona becomes a prison.
Oh, personal. Oh, sorry. Probably um too much Gary.
Too much
Okay.
middle of
Yeah.
the night.
Yeah. Yeah. When your
Yeah.
personal becomes a prison. Wow. Episode 182. Wow. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Do you edit the podcast yourself, or is it someone editing it?
So we have very little editing that actually happens in our podcast. So
Yeah.
most of it, like you're doing, we do conversation. And then what the guy that created the music for us, his name is Dave. What Dave does for us is that he will go in and he'll put the intro and the outro on for us, which I know a lot of programs can do for you automatically now. And it just, it's like we like working with people, with real people. So we keep working with him. And then if there is anything that like for some reason something happens, like a dog barks or this, or it's something that we feel like does need to be edited, we'll just let him know, Dave, that needs to be taken out. So
Okay.
yeah, we actually do have help with the editing process.
Okay. Okay. I know that you're using Zoom.
We are not using Zoom. We actually use
Ooh,
StreamYard.
StreamYard. Because
Mhm.
the reason why I said I felt so confident that you guys are using Zoom is because
The
of the
side by
black
side.
bars above and below.
Yeah, I think, you know what? I think our StreamYard was having a problem on this particular episode, so let's go
Okay, so
find
let's look for
another
yeah.
episode. There we go.
Okay, okay, okay. Why does it look? Why is it my eyes, or does it look like? I feel. How do I explain this now? You see, right now, as I see you on the screen, right? Your
Yeah.
setup and the quality of your video look awesome. Or or is it maybe the YouTube? I don't know. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
may be the YouTube because it's the same, like the camera that I'm using right now is the camera that we use for our podcasts, and same with thing with the microphone. So this is the same setup that I have for the podcast. And so you're right, it doesn't look that clear right there, does it? I wonder if it's because
Yeah.
it's full screen. Does that look a little better?
No, 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 no. I get it now. Okay, I see where the problem is. Your lighting is um. How do I explain that? There's that light coming from behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, from the window. Like it's meant to be falling on your face, not behind.
Yeah, I have you can see that there's lighting on my face too.
Yeah, it's
So
on. Yeah,
I have lighting in front of me. And yes, the background is probably a little bit too bright there, whereas like
yeah,
I'm in the afternoon now. So
yeah,
the light on my face is stronger than when I'm in the morning. You're right. Mhm.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, but our Stephanie's setup looks really, really great, and she looks really colorful. Like, wow,
She is
yeah,
colorful.
yeah, yeah. Wow, that's incredible. How losing to 50K was a gift. Wow, you guys are really serious on YouTube. Ooh, okay, okay, okay. Let's zoom out a bit. How many views has the channel gotten so far in the past 4 years?
I don't, let's see.
No,
Hold on.
just go to the channel and I'll like walk you through how to see the view.
Yeah, like I said, we've not worked out. We're just like last month, I started to actually work on our YouTube channel. So we're not serious on YouTube.
Okay,
We've
okay. So
just started getting started.
now that you've started being serious, what are some of the plans you've had? I'd love for you to share some of them with me so that I can, not technically not steal because you're sharing it with me, so I can adopt.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, so a couple of things that we're doing is we're adding shorts. So you'll see
Okay.
we've just added a bunch of shorts
Wow,
in. So
1.6K views. Wow, you guys are crushing it. Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Now, if you click on under the Soulful Leaders, near the channel description, you see something like more. If you click on it at the top, yeah, you see that more where more. You scroll down, you see the total views the channel has gotten so far. That's 14,480 views. Wow. Oh, okay. We're getting there.
We're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting there. Yeah. And since you're doing video, there's so many potential of shorts you could make for for each episodes. So yeah.
Yeah. And that's what we're doing. So for each episode, like you'll see that up here, it says episode 183, episode 182. So each episode we're pulling, some little snippets out that would be helpful for people. And we're putting
Yeah.
some shorts in. So like this one, we got a lot of views, 1.4 thousand views on this one. So yeah, it's, we're also
Did you
looking.
did
Go
you
ahead.
add the option to link the shorts to the long form episode?
Yes.
Okay. Just said
Mhm.
I should wow. That's brilliant. Like, I mean, it's okay, it's May right now, before the end of the year. Yeah, I mean, it would be nice if the channel is monetized. I mean, if not for anything, just to like, if it can cover the cost of the podcast itself, that would be nice.
Yeah, it would be. And
Yeah.
for us, a lot of our podcast, and this may be true for you too, is about being in service. Like we want to get information out there to people and
Yeah.
be in service to the people that listen to us and that tune in. And we have, we do programs regularly. Like we've got a program coming up called Inner Mastery. And then
Wow.
we offer something every December. Like we have programs that we do that people can
Yeah.
join us that want to go more deeply into things. And I understand the wanting to monetize something. And at the same time, part of me is it's kind of like, what does everything need to be monetized,
Ooh.
right?
Ooh. Okay. First, on YouTube, I'm just going to speak for YouTube, not generally. I'm not answering the question generally, right?
Yep.
Just on YouTube, right? Whether you monetize your channel or not, YouTube is going to put ads on your video. So you might as well just still be getting your own cuts from the videos. I don't know if you understand,
I thought
right?
that if you have less than 1,000 subscribers that they don't
Yeah,
put ads
that's for
on.
you to qualify to get your own cuts from the money. But right now, your video, they get ads are placed on it, right? So if someone views your video, they will see an ad on the video, but the only time you get to collect from that money is when you are monetized. So at the end of the day, you just realize that I might as well, if YouTube is going to put ads on my video, I might as well still get my own percentage of the cut, you know?
Interesting. I did not know that. Thanks for letting me know.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
used to have the feature before. I think it was I think it was 2-3 years ago, I don't know, but before, if you were not monetized, they won't put an ad, but they changed it. So now, whether you are monetized or not, they'll show an ad on your video. They don't.
Good to know.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. I might as well get my cut, right?
Yeah, 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 because it's your content. They are making money from your content. You might as well, even if you're going to donate the money to charity, whatever you do with it, that's your own personal business. You might as well just keep the money. Yeah.
I love
Wow.
that. And I think that would be a good thing for us to do, is to possibly donate that to some charity.
Yeah.
Well,
I
and
mean,
I would like to
you,
get to that 1,000 followers by the end of the
yeah,
year.
it's
So I think you and
900.
me.
Okay, it's 800 and something, 886 subscribers. So yeah, that's possible within the year. We'll get there. I'm rooting for you.
Yeah, I'm rooting for you too.
Yeah, thank you so much. Please, when you get to 1,000 subscribers or you get monetized, please, I'd love for you to shoot me an email so that I get to celebrate with you virtually, of course.
Thank you. You
Yeah,
do
so
the
yeah,
same, okay?
I will.
Thanks.
Yeah, well, okay, you were sharing some of the intentions and strategies for the YouTube channel, as relates to the message you want to share. And I kind of like asked some questions that kind of interrupted the train
Yeah,
of
that's
words.
okay. So we are doing the shorts, and then I was playing with posts, so I don't
Oh
have a
yeah,
lot
that's
of
true.
them.
That's tough work, especially if you
Does
have
it?
really good image post.
Great.
Yeah,
So
what you
I
could
could
do,
do.
I don't know, when you're recording episodes, you could actually document I've not started doing it, so, but some of the strategies I will start implementing on my own channel. Let's say, for example, this episode I'm recording, before I even started recording, I would make a picture post or something like that, more like a screenshot once we start recording, and post on YouTube and say, I'm cooking something like that, right before we even start this episode, and just post on the YouTube shop. And does it make sense what I'm saying? I feel like I'm too far.
No, I get it. I'm actually
Yeah.
taking some notes.
Yeah, more like the behind the scenes of the making of the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So such that people get interested in the episode. Like, I'm super excited for us to talk about this stuff, and then you screenshot it. Or maybe if you have a guest, you screenshot this. I can't wait to learn. I have my notes ready, stuff like that, and you just post it on image. The community tab really does well on YouTube, and it does. Yeah, it does.
Cool. So the other thing that we just started to do is organize playlists.
Wow.
So we
Yeah.
have interviews, we've got our shorts. In December, we do something called the Great Uplift. We are collecting inspirational tidbits from other people's podcasts and places across the web. We've got our podcast. And then we have snippets, and I just started playing with making some snippets with that's more than just our talking heads. So let's.
Oh, yeah. The same idea I was just thinking of right now.
Oh,
And I don't know. I'm thinking. I think what you mean by snippet is instead
actually,
an hour-long video. Is this a snippet?
that is a snippet, and like I said, I've been playing with them. So see how there's the what do they
We're
call
not
that?
thinking the same
B-roll.
thing. We're not thinking the same thing. Now these shots. I don't know why you're using snippets. You nearly confused me.
Sorry, I do have snippets. I don't know if I thought that I had uploaded. Let's go
When you
back.
say snippets, what do you mean by snippets? Let me be sure that it's what I'm thinking that you're saying.
So the shorts are vertical, the snippets are horizontal.
Okay. I mean, they could go up to like 5 minutes, depending
Yeah,
on the section I was talked about.
Only part of the body that they threw away
Wow.
was the brain. They believe that
I don't know if StreamYard has this feature,
the brain,
right?
they
But
don't. I did this on
no,
something
I want
called
to like
they want to try.
because Riverside has the feature. I've not used StreamYard before, so I don't really know. In Riverside, there's what they call smart. You can click on the button and it will adjust the clips to do smart layouts. So what I mean by smart layout is when you're talking, right, it will be like you on full focus, and when Stephanie is speaking, she'll be in full focus, and then it will kind of like change this so it's not static talking here. I could show you an example of what I mean if you
I can change that manually. I don't know if StreamYard has an something that does it automatically.
They should. Like all the big guys has it.
Yeah. What's nice is go ahead.
No, just proceed.
What's nice is that like all of like it'll download everything, meaning each of us it records separately on each person's computer. So even if the internet is kind of glitchy, we'll get right. So we'll get the full download, and then there's the original that it might be kind of glitchy because it's recorded online, but then we
the
get
cloud.
mine from the cloud, so that we get mine from my computer and hers from her computer, or if we have a third person. So that's nice because that's one of the things that Dave does go in and do is give us like, okay, if it got glitchy, he can take somebody's individual video and change it out, that type of thing. So
that's true. These things you just mentioned, right? And that's what Riverside does for me. It records it locally on your computer while we're having this chat. It records my local. Instead, what it does is that it's also uploading it to the cloud, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the cloud recording too. That's like the cloud back. But then it's uploading it. So what will happen is that if the internet is very fast, the moment we stop this record, the upload would have completed. But if the internet is not very fast, we might have to like wait for like 5 to 10 minutes, and you can just keep the tab open, and the remaining upload will be complete. And that's the same thing too. But I just like the fact that I don't have to like download, except of course when the file has issues. I don't have to download the separate tracks. I can just go to Riverside and click on the smart layout, and it will organize everything into one full video. and then I can download, and then probably the editor can. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's true. Yeah, I could show you what I mean though.
Yeah.
If you go to Lenny's podcast, if you just search Lenny's podcast on this, the double N Y, then podcast. Oh yeah, that's it, podcast. And we'll just scroll down and we'll click on one of, yeah, just click on any of those videos. Click on it.
Socialized bullshit.
Now,
I don't-
of course, he has a powerful intro, but if you scroll to 15 minutes, just scroll to skip to a very long part. And yeah, okay. Now, if we play it, what will happen is that you see when this guy is talking, of course, this is Zoom, this is an internet, is a virtual meet. He's focused on him, and it will also cut out to the host part. Let's see. Okay, he's talking for long. He's talking for long. Yeah. Oh, you noticed it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when the host starts talking, right? Right now the host is kind of quiet and listening to what he's saying. So you see,
Right.
yeah, 2%. Yeah. So everything is automatic, right? And right now the host is not even talking. He's just like responding and more like smiling and yeah. And it's 2%. And you see the way he cuts it. You would think that they are in the same studio sitting down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a way the video doesn't feel strange and look as if it's out of context. I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. It's the same video. One will see their videos now and you think, what am I doing wrong? It's the same internet stuff we do. It's just that they just found a way to like make everything look nice. Now, of course, you notice that the video quality of the host is way better than that of the guest. But even
Yes.
at that, yeah, everything is still really good.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
great.
and his titles are really long and like kind of like optimized and go really specific. How have I been complicit in creating conditions I say I don't want? Okay, and then the guest name. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and then he has a really good. If you scroll down, you actually, since you use vidIQ, if you scroll down, you see the thumbnail. Yeah, usually vidIQ has the thumbnail image. I don't know. Okay, usually it's on the side panel. You can download it or something like that. But before you click on the video, you saw the thumbnail. It has the same template, so that way it's easier for if you can click on on his channel head. That's you see it, right? All his thumbnails, it's easy to know that it's this from the same guy. So all he does is he changes the image of the guest if he has guests, and then since you people are doing co-host, you can just put your image, and what you just need to do is change the text to fit the discussion of the individual episode. Now you see that it's clear. If by looking at the thumbnail, it's clear what I will get, and it's compelling. How have I been complicit in creating the conditions I say I don't want? This advice saved my life, and of course, it's very straightforward and straight to the point. And the fact that he uses template, I feel like it makes it easy for him to like change things and just put picture, puts text, and boom, he has a thumbnail ready. And yeah, it's the kind of thumbnail that gets people to click. And the title is really long and on point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, that's the funny thing is that leadership is a really broad topic. Like it's a very broad topic in terms of self-improvement, and there's a huge potential for your channel to get a ton of views, of course. And when I mean ton of views, I mean reach a lot of persons.
Yeah, I'm looking. Yeah, we are we're for a smaller audience. We're not for every leadership. It's like
Okay.
we're very targeted. So yeah, it's kind of
I mean,
exciting.
you. How do I explain now? The message you and Stephanie have on the podcast is not mainstream, right? It's not what everybody's saying, but as much as possible, it's a message you want everybody to adopt. Not, no, of course, not everybody will adopt it, but like more persons to adopt and to really see.
If they're ready for it, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that's why they listen to the podcast, to prep them, to to get them, to educate them, to get them on the journey, and eventually they'll become Soulful Leader.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing your projections for your podcast and some of the behind the scenes of your podcast. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And like I said, most of our people listen on on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. I publish through Buzzsprout. And so we can work with all of that. And that's, playing with YouTube is fun. And it's not where most people actually listen to us. So
Yeah.
like I said,
Yeah.
like prioritizing for any podcast or for anybody in business, prioritizing where, it's like, where does your audience live? Where do they listen to you? And then making sure that you're serving them there instead of getting distracted with other things. So we allotted a certain amount of time and energy to put into the YouTube stuff, and we'll see if it takes us somewhere, and if it doesn't, we're not going to worry about it.
Hey, just a quick break. If you enjoying the insights so far and want even more behind the scenes ideas, inspiration, and tools for growing your own podcast, join my email list at mypodcaststory.com/join. That is mypodcaststory.com/join. You get access to helpful resources, exclusive updates, and the kind of stuff I only share with my email subscribers. Whether you're starting out or already podcasting, there's something valuable waiting for you. Head over to mypodcaststory.com/join and subscribe. Now, back to the episode. Yeah. Well, you did mention that the both of you are currently working on a book, and because of that, the podcast has kind of been so you dividing the time between the book and the podcast. So what's the change now? Like, what was it before and what's the change?
So we were doing a podcast every single week for 3.5 years. And now we're doing a podcast every other week. And we do a blog post in between that is also kind of working towards our book of, it's like, what organization of the book, how do we want it to be organized? What do we want to share with people? And what do we want them to take away from it? So that it's kind of the nice thing about a podcast is we get to be conversational. And here's what's important. Here's we're noticing in our clients this week. So, this is what we're noticing in the world this week. This is what we're noticing wherever, right? The nice thing about a book is that it can go more deeply into true change. So that's why we wanted to do both of them and not let one go, because I think that they're both important.
Yeah. Well. So how far into the book have you guys?
We are in the organizational process of the book right now. So we've got, looking at what are the chapters going to be, how much of what we've done in the podcast will be in the book, what will that look like? Like I said, what do we want the takeaways to be for people, etc.
Okay. So far, you've been doing the podcast for about 3 to 4 years now, going on the 4 years. I wanted to, I'll come back to the question of how has the podcast kind of like changed people's life. But before we get there, I want to look at, the podcast you're currently working on right now is a self-improvement podcast, but a very specific type in that it's leadership, right? And I want to ask, how has that podcast changed you? Now, of course, I would have said, how has it changed you and your life and Stephanie? But I'd love for you to just speak for yourself.
Yeah, what's great, we've actually once a year we look at that for ourselves and we do a podcast on it, talking about how our process has changed and also how it's changed us as individuals. So one of the things for me is actually a couple of things. One of them is that the commitment, I've had multiple businesses in my life, and all of them have required a dedicated commitment. Showing up each week to create a podcast and then doing all of the aspects of it to make it public. That commitment to another person and to the public has been both challenging and inspiring. And it has changed me as a person, definitely. I have a lot more respect for myself and for the process that committing to something like that creates. It takes you deeper into what you do, what you know, the research. There's so much to it. And that's part of the reason that doing the book is exciting for me, because it's going even deeper down the rabbit hole. And it's easy in today's day and age, I think. I think anytime, and especially in today's day and age of distractions left and right, it's easy to look at something and be like, oh, I tried. Oh, I did it for a year. Oh, I did it for a month. Or I did it for, like, and to keep showing up to something for that long with another person and having that commitment. Like I said, there's a sense of accomplishment, right? There's a sense of, even with having had 3 successful businesses, there's still some sense of accomplishment of like, yeah, we show up to this every week and it's important. And our people, our listeners are important. Even if there's, at the beginning when we had, 10 listeners, they were still important.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I would say that's probably the main thing for me is the two main things for me is how I feel about myself, the reflection there, and then also the depth of knowledge that I've gained in my own realm of expertise that has made me want to just even keep going deeper and deeper.
Yeah, I mean, doing the podcast every week gets you to really deeply reflect about the things you think you believe, the things you think, the way you approach things. And, it's especially when it's not just you reflecting, you have a co-host where you guys are bouncing off ideas and say, no, this is this and this is it. And it really gets you to make the process of learning active, especially in the kind of feed you're doing. So it's not like, oh, I'm leadership, I learn leadership stuff and like, yeah, I read books. No, it's more you allow yourself to listen to your thoughts and say, okay, what do I think about this? No, this isn't it. And they're like, yeah, wow. My curious brain right now, I noticed you mentioned there was a time I had 10 listeners, and my curious brain is like, so what do you have now?
Yeah, I actually don't have that statistic in front of me. We have, according to Buzzsprout, and it supposedly looks at like it gathers all of them. I think we have several thousand, and I honestly am not sure. So, depending on the podcast, we did one. So going back to what you were talking about, is one of the nice things about having a co-host is we don't agree on everything. So
Yeah,
it challenges us. And one of the things that we did recently is Mel Robbins has got a podcast out that talks about her book, and we disagreed. My podcast partner Stephanie and I disagreed about the like kind of one of the things that we saw, in the podcast, one of the things. And so we actually kind of, and we've done this with multiple podcasts. We agreed to disagree. We're like, nope, I don't agree. And I love that because I don't want to live in a world where I agree with everybody. I want
yeah.
my beliefs challenged, who I think that I am, what I think
You
is.
understand for some,
I want to stand for something. I also want that to be challenged. I don't want to do it blindly,
yeah,
you
so true.
know.
Yeah,
So,
wow.
yeah,
The strange thing is every type of podcast has its own peculiar benefits, right? A solo episode, I'm sorry, a solo, just one host podcast.
sure.
It has the fact that okay, you don't have to like um look for the co-host, because sometimes if because it's a co-host show, if the day something comes up and Stephanie's not able to show up, probably maybe something important, that's what happens. There won't be an episode that day. And yeah, for a solo episode, it's different. It's for why do I keep saying solo episode? For for just one host, it's way different. But then there's also the challenge that there's nobody to like be on the journey with you and say, oh, what's going on? How's the podcast? To have that podcast body and you just um on it together. And yeah, wow, yes, yeah, I can't wait till when the podcast is like 10 years and you're like, oh yeah, probably a chat. Yeah. I'm excited about the book. When the book comes out, I don't know when, since right now we're still in the developmental stage. I
Right.
say we, okay, you.
I like it.
Yeah.
You're part of we now.
Yeah, we're still in the developmental of the book. When the book eventually comes out, I don't know when, maybe once. However, whenever it comes out, I'd love to, have you back on the podcast and we'll then talk about the process and what it means to write a podcast, how, why you decide to write a book for the podcast and, really go about, the book and the podcast and all that. Please shoot me an email when it's
Love that. Thanks, Wisdom.
yeah. Okay. I want to talk about earlier on. We talked about the production of podcasts and what it takes for you to produce a podcast. And one of the things you mentioned was that you have someone helping for the editing and someone who made the intro song and all that. And we were focusing on YouTube. And yeah, I'm happy and I believe that you will eventually figure it out for YouTube. But I want us to look at now. I know that you're privileged to have business you do outside the podcast. So can you tell us what you do outside the podcast? You mentioned that you have the full-time stuff that you do, and you and Stephanie. So what do you do?
So I do work with leaders full time.
Okay.
And my business is called Dance with Life. So I help people to Yeah. So one of the businesses that I had was a ballroom dance studio, and I was a dancer myself for 30 years and ran a successful studio for 15 of those years. And then a lot of what I did was teach people life skills through dance, right? Towards as I was doing that over the years, I developed a curriculum of like, what does it mean to dance well with another human being? Because all of my dancing and my dance training has been in couples dancing. So, how do you work well with another human being to create something that's bigger than the two of you together? And that applies to life. How do you work well with life to create something that's bigger than
Yeah.
you are yourself? And I truly believe that that's what we're all here to do. We all are here for a reason, bigger than our own personal needs. And especially for those of us who are privileged enough to have our needs met, what does that mean? Where do we go from there? And a lot of people have gotten lost on that, and they are no longer like they're seeking, right? One of the things that the thing that I do now is I take the lessons and the understandings that I got over 30 years of dancing, and I help leaders, apply them to their lives and to their businesses so that
Oh,
they can grow and they can have the impact that they want, as well as the impact, the income and the impact. I think that our world has gotten a little bit off kilter in that we sacrifice people, our environment, all kinds of things in order to have income. And I don't think that has to happen. That I truly believe that we can have impact and income, and that one doesn't have to be at the expense of the other. So that's what I do.
you literally.
I'm working on it. I'm
I
working.
mean, you have your eyes and ears everywhere. You're raising leaders in every industry, every life. And I'm guessing the leaders you trained, they are not from a particular industry. Like as long as leaders, wherever industry they're, yeah, and they're willing to learn and willing to be trained, you train them. So you have your eyes everywhere. Sooner or later, we'll call you.
I love it. So
Ah,
I love it because you have wisdom down in the corner of yours. Do I get Grandmaster at the corner of mine?
no, that's
You are wisdom. I love it.
yeah, that's my name.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I don't know. What is your name?
I don't know. It's a Norwegian name, and I know it don't necessarily look
Oh,
very Norwegian. It just it was a family Norwegian name. So
yeah, it'd be surprising that you check Maren and it's yeah. I'm just saying, what are the odds that when you check it, you're like, oh, it means leader. So wow,
Interesting.
I was
I was born to do this, wisdom.
yeah. I mean, of course, you were born to do this, but then when you're like, I say, I was born. See, I was named like a leader right from childhood. They didn't even know, but they just named it.
And you
But
were
now, look, this is what I'm doing.
you were born to be wise, and you are wise. So good for you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
That means a lot coming from the grandmaster. Yeah. Okay. So your business directly connects to your podcast.
Yes, it does.
So even though it seems like you're not doing the podcast full time, I'll give an example. Let's say your podcast was about what's one strange weird topic we could talk about? Pickleball, something like that, right? I mean, I mean, you could tie it to leadership, but I mean, yeah, nah. pickleball, yeah. But it's different. That would be maybe a hobby project. It's, oh, I like pickleball. I want to start a podcast about pickleball, but it doesn't really connect to your business.
Right.
But this one, I feel that it connects to your business, and yeah. So at the end of the day, what will happen is that you're both building your personal brand industry, and that's brilliant. Because the why I'm saying this is I'm about to ask, how does the
No, the podcast
okay
costs us money.
okay like how much?
Well, we pay Dave to do the editing. And again, it's something that we could at this point, Buzzsprout, not Buzzsprout, StreamYard allows you to put your own intro and outro in. So we literally could do it without Dave. And we like having him on our team. And so
Yeah.
we want to continue to support human beings. So we pay him, and then we pay for our platforms.
StreamYard,
StreamYard,
Buzzsprout,
Buzzsprout, and
Calendly,
Calendly, right? And YouTube, because
Podmatch.
like when we're not recording, we do talk over Zoom. So Zoom, and I said YouTube, but no, I meant Zoom. So like there's it's not a lot. Say on the high end, it might cost us $500 to $1,000 a month, maybe 500.
Okay. 500 to 1,000.
I think.
I mean, the cost will be less because right now you're not publishing so many episodes, so Dave is not
Right.
editing.
So it's probably more like $200 a month, because we're really not. It's not much. So
Oh,
in
the thing, I don't know why, but it seems that almost all the podcast guests I have, that's podcast hosts, they don't really keep track. For me, it's something like I really want to know, like if I'm working on a project, I like to see, okay, how much am I spending on it, even if it's a even if it's a charity organization, right? If let's say we're doing a charity project, right, where it's not money, we don't see money. Like, I would love for that charity organization to keep track of every expenses they spend from start to finish, right? I just like to do it. It's not like, oh, because we expect to get profits or no, but I just like, okay, we did so and so, we spent so software, we did this stuff, like, so we see, okay, this is it. Understand? And I've never really had the guest that has said, oh yeah, that's it, I'll pull it up for you, I have this. They're like, yeah, probably maybe because you don't consider the podcast as a business yet. It's
I think it's more because we have a different philosophy.
okay.
Money is not the only measure of success for us. It's not the top measure of success for us. We need to make money. That's important. We need to pay our bills. The podcast does not do that. The podcast allows us to continue to grow and grow internally, like ourselves, like meeting every single week to work on ourselves. There's a lot of value with that. It also allows us to serve our audience and do a give back, where people who don't have the money to pay for somebody giving them leadership advice or personal development advice or like self-growth advice, they could tune into our podcast and get all of that. And we don't know the lives that we've touched or that we will touch. And that's more important than any bottom line, if we needed it to pay certain bills, yes, we would probably be tracking that. We don't.
Yeah, I noticed that yeah. I'm not okay. I'm not even talking about the podcast making money. That's not about, right? I'm just like saying, I feel like, right? Let's say if you were running what's the most common non-profit organization? Let's say an orphanage doesn't make money. It's not meant to money, right? But like, I feel like if you're running an orphanage, you're supposed to be keeping track of the expenses you spend, the things you spend money on, right? Not because you're going to make profit. I mean, like, you literally change lives, right? But if they send money or whatever, you spend money, or let's say using from your own pockets to like fund it, orphanage. You're supposed to like, okay, we spend so amount of this. You want to see, okay, where money is going in, such that you can also the expenses, not for profit. Like, okay, oh, I'm using this software. Oh, this software I'm using, I'm just wasting money on it. Let me use something else so that I don't end up spending so much on it. Or, oh, this software, not more like to make the production, the work itself easier, faster, and even better.
You are. And again, I think it's looking at what the priorities are. For an
Yeah.
orphanage, their priority is to make sure that their bills are paid so that they can do all the things. And then they need to do fundraising in order to cover those bills,
Oh, I
right?
see. I see.
We know
Yeah.
that these bills are paid and the difference that this one thing makes. So if we allot, and for most budgets, it's here's we're going to allot this amount for this type of thing. And it might come in a little under or a little over, and you kind of look at it as a bulk thing for any particular line item, right? And then you can break that line item down. We don't need to. We did the first year, I think, just to make sure that and that's probably why I had the higher number in my head. And we haven't needed to. So yes, we could spend time on that, and we would rather
Oh, okay.
invest our time in other places.
Yeah. I mean, so right now, if we clear you're both fortunate enough to have the expenses not be such a big, right? What I mean by big deal, like it's not like money that you are like sweating to like cough out to in order to get the podcast run. It's more like, okay, we have our businesses $200-300 a month. I'm not gonna say it's not a big deal, but you understand what I'm saying? Like in this context, like it's something that we can easily like just say, okay, yeah, we have $300. It's not like old stuff that we have to like start cutting and managing our accounts just to bring out $300. Yeah,
Right. And
yeah, I get it. Yeah,
that's
it makes
why I
sense.
said because, and I believe you used the word privileged, like we're privileged enough to be able to do that right now. And I know a
Yeah,
lot of people who are starting podcasts, they're not in that position. And when we
yeah,
first started, we weren't. And so we were looking at and about a year after we started it, I looked at Stephanie and I said, it's not profitable. Do you want to still continue doing it? And she looked at me, she said, hell yes. She goes, it's changed me more than just about anything else that I've ever done in my life. And I want to keep doing it. It's like, great. So then we looked at what are the finances? What do we need to do? And just, it's a line item. If you've ever been to, at a grocery store, when you go into a grocery store, they'll have something like some crazy sale, right? Like they have their little flyers out, and they're like some item is on sale that costs them oftentimes more than they're selling it for. So they're losing money on it.
yeah. But then you get to buy.
They call it their lost leader because they're going to take a loss on that one
Yeah.
item, but you walk in the store and you're like, oh, that's right, I needed, or you get distracted and you go, oh, look at that, I didn't know I
Oh, yes,
even
yes,
needed
yes, yes,
that.
sure. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
So
And then you end up walking.
right. And so it's the same type of
Yeah.
thing. Like this is the way. The other thing that we think of with this is that in today's day and age, how do you get people to know you and trust you?
Ooh. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's true personal brand.
They're getting to see us. They're getting to know who we
Yeah.
are. And because we chat with each other, you see in the real us. And I mean, we're not, on that younger end of the scale where we're like jumping off of bridges, selfie videotaping ourselves, right? But, we're chatting with each other, and that's one way for us to build trust with people out there who don't know us. They can, kind of like stalk us, right?
Yeah.
And find
Yeah.
out that we're the real deal. And so when you look at it, it could actually go into our advertising expenses. It could just
Yeah.
be it's an expense that we know that we have. We have the expense of the podcast. So
The strange thing, I know we're kind of like out on time. The strange thing about this podcast is that even though it seems like we're talking about podcasts, we're not actually talking about podcasts. because it's just two friends who are chatting and kind of checking up and doing an accountability on each other and more like, exchanging ideas. And then they're like, oh, that's true. We could publish this on a podcast. Okay, let's publish it on the podcast. So it's more like you guys, if this was not a podcast, you guys are actually having, your own benefits personally. And then like, oh, let's share this with the world. And now it gets put out there and the world gets to benefit. So it's not like, oh, we need the world. Of course, the podcast is meant to serve the world, but I'm just saying, like, what I'm saying.
We did actually set it up originally as a podcast, and it is us chatting. And we did create it as an intentional podcast. It was not, hey, we chat every week, let's just make this a podcast.
But you guys chat every week.
And we chat every week. Now, I mean,
And it's
we
a
do
podcast.
now. We were not before we did the podcast, and now that is a part of our regular.
Oh, so the podcast made you guys started chatting and then becoming accountable and then kind of bouncing ideas and really developing and improving over time just by.
Yes.
Yeah, so more like a two-person.
It is, and everybody gets to listen in on it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I get to like, yeah, so, so this is what they're working on. Oh, so this is what they're thinking. Oh, yeah. Brilliant. Like, yeah. The strange thing about podcast is the strange good thing about podcast is that you can basically use it for whatever you want to do. Right? I've seen podcasts where people they use it to get for client for their business. I've seen podcasts where they use it to create educational material for people to just consume. I've seen podcasts where they use social cause purposes, and I've seen podcasts where they use it as mastermind and then also for social causes. I mean, you could do the both, not just one.
Yeah, it is. It's multifaceted. And we pull content and we use it for blog posts. And now we're going to use some of it for our book. And it is educational. And that, so I do love podcasting for that.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I feel like we just chat. And please, when the book is done, when probably you get monetized, whatever major milestone that you think that, oh, this calls for a celebration for the podcast, please let me know. I'd love to like chat with you podcast. Right? Yeah, that's true. I feel like we're doing a podcast, but on the other hand, I feel like we're just chatting in the name of a podcast.
I think for me, those are the podcasts that I enjoy the most. Like, let me listen in on somebody in real life.
Yeah, it's amazing what you can do in the.
Mm-hmm.
Now I get to talk to the grandmaster or the. Thank you.
Thank you, Wisdom.
Okay. What's one advice you have for those that are just starting the podcast and kind of discouraged and
reconnect with your why. Why did you start it? And that's the reason that Stephanie and I keep doing what we're doing is because we're really connected to the why. Why we do it gets us to show up every week. And if no one's listening, if everyone's listening, that's not, it's like we're so in this like, well, how many likes do I have? How many of this do I have? How many of that is it making money? Is it doing this? Is it we don't realize how many people we're impacting. And if we're connected to our why and we're doing what we're here to do, that's the best we can do.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that advice. Where can listeners learn more about you and Stephanie and what you do and
the Soulful Leader podcast. So just exactly what it sounds like. And soulful it comes from your soul. Leadership comes from your soul. It's not a title. So it's speaking to the soulful leader and the person inside that says, yeah, I'm here to make a difference. How do I do that? So yeah, you can find us at thesoulfulleaderpodcast.com. We also have a project, the Soulful Leader Project, which is tslp.life because we stand for life. So tslp.life.
Thank you so much, Maren, for sharing this podcast story on the podcast. And it's been really fun.
Thanks for doing this. I love that you're out there helping podcasters kind of see what each other's are doing and what's working and what's not and get an idea for them of like, yeah, I want to try that or no, I don't want to try that. So
that's it for today's episode of my podcast story. I am Wisdom Okonkwo, and I hope this conversation sparked new ideas and gave you a deeper look into the heart of podcasting. If you've loved this episode, consider supporting the show by buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/wisdomhq. Every beat helps keep the stories going. And hey, don't forget to follow, rate, and share this podcast with another podcaster or creator who would find it helpful. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you in the next episode.